When 2020 returns, there are secrets to being a good matchmaker, and they're learning them at school. Call it Cupid Academy.
The new generation of matchmakers are young, hip, male, female, gay, straight. It's not about the money. It's about wanting to see someone happy in a relationship.
If you've ever tried to set up a friend on a blind date, you know how nerve-wracking and delicate matchmaking can be. Some people, like the Kellehers you met earlier, seem to have a knack for it. And apparently a lot of others think they would be good at it too, because matchmaking is becoming a hot business. So many people are lining up to become matchmakers that now there's even a school for it. Bill Ritter went to class for some lessons.
Matchmaker, matchmaker, make me a match. Find me a find, catch me a catch.
We know about the matchmakers of the past, like from Fiddler on the Roof, or from the movie Crossing Delancey.
I got something for you. He's a little bit older than the Pickle Man.
Ah, but those are your grandmother's old-fashioned versions of matchmakers. Now, the stereotype has been smashed. This is Alicia Silverstone's character in the recent TV series Mismatch.
So, how would you describe yourself?
Or the Laura Linney character in this past season's Frasier.
Welcome to Charlotte's Web, a matchmaking service. Come in.
Funny characters, to be sure, but serious business to 100 million American singles, most of whom are seriously looking for love.
And that's a pretty good customer base for a new and potentially lucrative matchmaking industry. An industry that's blossoming here in New York and in other big cities. And that got us thinking, exactly where do matchmakers come from? Well, it turns out some of them come from right there.
What we're doing today really is honing in on the sort of human aspect of matchmaking.
Welcome to the Matchmaking Institute in New York City. Call it a school for aspiring yentas, kind of a Cupid Academy.
We started the Matchmaking Institute really to help people start a career in matchmaking, and two, to help singles find a qualified matchmaker.
6 years ago, Lisa Clampett gave up her career as a social worker to become a full-time matchmaker. She deals only with high-end clients. That means men who pay her up to $20,000 a year to help them find a mate. She says she loved being a matchmaker so much that she decided to start a school to teach others how to do it.
What I found before we started this is people have no way to get into the industry, and by creating a training, it really trains people how to enter the industry and how to maintain standards.
The class is a surprisingly diverse group, at least the one we saw, but all the students seem to have one thing in common. They all want to reinvent themselves and get in on the ground floor of the new dating industry boom. So, just what kind of people want to do this?
I've been doing matchmaking. I love setting up people.
Stephanie Eckert from Virginia Beach has worked in human resources for 20 years. She says she's always been an amateur matchmaker, but now she wants to turn pro.
I met my husband through a matchmaking service online. So I do believe in the process.
Ross Gordon has his own limousine company, but over the past year, on the side, he started producing events for Jewish singles.
I realized that it is my passion, and hey, if I can make a living doing this, I'd be the happiest guy, right?
Rob Anderson has been an animal groomer for 20 years. Now he wants to become a matchmaker for a market segment he thinks is ready to take off.
Being a gay man in Manhattan, I also know how difficult that is to meet the right person.
And then there's Violet Lim, who lives halfway around the world in Singapore. She saw an ad for the Matchmaking Institute, and she was so intrigued that she quit her job and flew 36 hours to New York City just so she could take the class.
And I thought, hey, you know, this is a great idea that they have in the U.S. and we don't have it in Singapore.
Lisa Clampett's message to her students is that matchmakers are like personal trainers for a client's love life, kind of a headhunter for the heart.
You know, it's to handhold them, it's to be their friend, it's to be their mentor, it's to be their guide into a world where they can actually have some support in their personal life.
Now, this class is not cheap.
Pre-screening, then in-person interview,
Clampett takes her students step by step for what's required to become a full-service matchmaker.
ID check, photos, profile form into the database.
Each class brings together several relationship experts, including a clinical psychologist.
In terms of nonverbal communication, touch indicates a lot of things.
And there's a professional relationship coach who talked about how to deal with difficult clients.
You know, if you have a client that's just desperate to get married, it's not going to work. You've got to get them back in themselves.
Also making an appearance, Steve Sachs, author of The Mate Match.
You have to put two people together and see what happens of how their chemistry levels are.
Sachs has created an extensive thousands of new members every week, and it's that popularity, says Lisa Clampett, that's also created a mass market for matchmakers.
What we're finding now is a transition from online dating to a more personalized approach, having more privacy, having more face-to-face time with someone who screens the matches for them.
But who screens the matchmakers? After all, they're not exactly licensed by the state.
We've actually created a National Board of Certified Matchmakers, which is created by the Matchmaking Institute to follow quality standards.
By the time this group has finished the Matchmaker Workshop, Clampett has them pumped up and ready to start spreading the love.
I would say probably 50% of the students, maybe a little bit more, will go out and become successful matchmakers.
Can you tell right away in your classes who's going to be a good matchmaker and who's not?
The people who are curious, motivated, have come sort of with, questions. They've done their homework in terms of their little niche market.
A few weeks after the workshop ends, we check back with some of the folks we met at the Matchmaking Institute just to see how they're doing. We caught up with Stephanie Eckert in Virginia Beach as she was going to pick up her new business cards.
This looks absolutely beautiful.
And we saw her later as she was interviewing her first client.
Are you looking for a mate, a companion, marriage? What are you looking for?
Give me a little bit about your relationship history.
Well, I have dated.
Rob Anderson, after taking the course, has set out to become a matchmaker for the gay community. And back home in Singapore, Violet Lim has already set up her matchmaking service. She calls it Lunch, actually, and she's got a website.
Okay, this is the front page of the site. So this is sometimes the first contact for our clients.
And she's starting to attract clients.
We have a couple of forms here that we'll need you to fill in.
And so just like that, a new generation of matchmakers is born. Of course, just how successful they'll be remains to be seen, but to borrow a phrase from the Fiddler on the Roof era, using a matchmaker, well, maybe it couldn't hurt.